Okay, today we're talking about parallel and perpendicular slope. All right, so first it says we need the slope of line A. So we need 2 points. So here's a good place. Here's another good place. So we have 0, 1, and we have negative 2, 4. So let's find our slope. We're going to do 4 minus 1, negative 2 minus 0. So that gives me a 3 over negative 2. Slope is negative 3 halves. Line B, let's give it some points. Here's good, so 0, 7. And there's another good place, which is 2, 4. Okay. Now let's find our slope. So we got 7 minus 4 over 0 minus 2. That equals 3 over negative 2. So the slope here is negative 3 halves. So notice these numbers are the same. So that means parallel lines have the same slope. Same slope. Okay? Because they're parallel. I'm not changing the steepness of the line. I mean, the line is not going like this or this. It's just going like this. Okay? All right. Next, we're going to do our perpendicular slope. At any point, if I'm going too fast, remember, just pause the video and copy down what you need to write. Okay, so slope of line C. There's a good point. And actually right here, because that line is going to keep going, so that's a good point. So this is negative 4, 1, and this is 1, 0. Okay, let's find our slope. So we're going to have 1 minus 0 over negative 4 minus 1. That gives me 1 over negative 5. So my slope is a negative 1/5. Okay, line D. Notice that this point is also on line D. So I just need 1 extra point. I have a y-intercept. It's 0, negative 5. Okay, now let's find that slope. So we'll do 0 minus negative 5 over 1 minus 0. Okay, that gives me a 5 over 1, which equals 5. Okay, now they're not the same slope. But let's take a look and see what we notice about these numbers. Okay, well, I noticed that this one is a negative and it's a fraction. This one is a positive and it's a whole number. So I see if one is negative, the other is positive, that means they are opposites. So that's our first word. We're going to have an opposite. Okay, now we went from 1/5 to 5. Keep in mind that this can be written as a fraction by writing it as 5 over 1. So all I did was basically take this fraction of 1/5 and I flipped it. Okay, so you should remember from the 6th grade that a flipped fraction is called a reciprocal. So reciprocal is our other word. Reciprocal. So perpendicular slopes have an opposite reciprocal. Okay, so that means we're going to take the fraction and flip it. And then if it's positive, it will become negative. If it's negative, it will become positive. Okay, if it is a whole number, we're going to take a whole number and write it over 1. And then you will flip it.
If you are in the building, make your way to the main
And make
office
it the
at this
opposite.
time. Lovely.
Okay. All right. So very quickly, remember if it's parallel slope, they are the same slope. So all of these numbers are just going to be the same. A slope that's parallel to a 2/3 slope is going to be 2/3. If it's parallel to 3/4, it's still 3/4. If it's parallel to negative 4/5, it's still negative 4/5. Okay, so you can finish this on out by just writing the same exact number on all of these sides, on these numbers. Okay, same slope for parallel. Okay, pause the video, go ahead and do that. Okay, perpendicular slope. Remember, perpendicular is opposite reciprocal. All right, so since these are all whole numbers, I'm just going to go down and do this row. Now I'll do the first two rows. Okay, so remember, first thing you want to do is take this whole number, make it a fraction. So that way I can flip it. So now it's going to flip, and it needs to become the opposite. So since it was positive, it will be negative. Okay, so a line that is perpendicular to a line with a slope of 2 will have a slope of negative 1/2. Okay, so remember, this word means opposite reciprocal on the slope. All right, slope of negative 1, write it as a fraction. So when I flip it, still going to become 1/1 basically, and it needs to be the opposite. So the opposite of a negative is a positive. That just equals a 1. Okay, the ones are pretty easy. It's just going to be the opposite of that number. Okay, on our 3, we're going to write this as a fraction first. Now flip it and put the opposite. Opposite of positive is negative. All right, come on down here and work my way back. Okay, opposite of positive, opposite of negative is positive. Then we're going to flip the fraction. So it become 2/1, which is 2. Okay, opposite of positive is negative. Flip the fraction, 5/1, which is just negative 5. Okay, opposite of this negative is a positive. So 4/1 when we flip, which is 4. Yeah, you can finish up the other ones. Okay, so pause the video, see if you can do the other ones, and then check to see if you got it right. All right, I'm going to go on and finish them up right quick. Okay, so this one, put it over 1, you end up with a negative 1/6. Opposite reciprocal here is negative 1. Put this one over 1, flip it, make it the opposite, negative 1/8. Flip it, make it the opposite, 3/2. Flip it, make it the opposite, negative 4/3. Flip it, make it the opposite, positive 5/4. All right, now let's do some examples. All right, so your homework, not quite. Homework is the next one. All right, it says we have line J here on the graph, and we want to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, which remember is y equals mx plus b, that is parallel. So parallel means we're going to have the same slope. So it's going to be parallel to line J, and it contains this point. So there's our x and our y. Okay, first thing we need to do is find our slope. So find m. Okay, after we find our slope, second thing we need to do is find our b. So guys, this is actually the same thing that we've been doing. Okay, we're really not doing anything different. It's just about finding or getting your slope part right. All right, so if I have a graph and I need a slope, I know I need 2 points. Well, there's 3 of them that's sitting there on the line. All right, so this one is 6, 3. This one is 3, -1. Those 2 will work. Let's find our slope using our slope formula. So we're going to have the y's, which is 3 minus -1. Over 6 minus 3. That gives me 4/3. 4/3 is my slope. Okay, so my slope is 4/3. So now that I found my slope, I need to use my y equals mx plus b to find my b. So plug in your point. Y is 4. Your m is 4/3. times your x, which is -3, plus your b. Now solve it. Multiply this, and we get a -4 plus b. Add 4 to both sides, and we get that 8 equals b. Okay, now that I have that, I can write my equation in slope-intercept form because I have an m and a b. So I end up with y equals 4/3 x plus 8. And there's our equation. And just take it a step further, we could do we could easily do a point slope, couldn't we? Because we have slope and a point. Oh, sorry, slope and a point. So y minus 4, remember they become the opposite, is 4/3 times x plus 3. That's just what we did last week. Okay, but this is the one it asked for. Okay. All right, let's go to our next equation, our next example. All right, this is what your homework is like. Okay, this time we want an equation written in slope-intercept form. Again, y equals mx plus b. Parallel, which means same slope. We have the equation, and we have the point. So we know we got an x here and a y. Well, if I have this equation, and it's already a slope-intercept form, don't I have my slope already? Okay, even though there's no number in front of here, we know there's an understood 1 there, right? So my slope is 1. All right, so I'm going to plug that into the equation and find my b. So just like a while ago, first we're going to find m. Second, we're going to find b. I mean, that's just what we have to do every single time. Find m, find b. So y equals mx plus b. And notice how I'm doing work on half and then the other on the other half. So don't write too small on your papers. You don't have that much room. Okay, let's plug in our y, which is 10. Plug in our m, which is 1. Plug in our x, which is 1. Okay, 10 equals 1 times 1, which is 1, plus b. Subtract 1 from both sides. 9 equals b. Okay, we want a slope-intercept, so let's just plug it in. So we'll have y equals m, which is 1. And we don't have to write a 1 in front of our x, so just write an x. Plus b, which is 9. So there is our equation in slope-intercept form for the line that goes through this point. Okay? If we want to write a point slope, that's pretty simple. Plug in these numbers. So y minus 10 equals 1 times x minus 1. We're not going to see that 1 in front of there, guys. So it'll be y minus 10 equals x minus 1. There's your point slope. Okay. Okay. Then we have one last example, which is the standard form. Now make sure that you're writing pretty small because this is the one that takes some actual, or takes a little more work. All right, so we want the equation of the line in standard form. Remember, standard form is ax plus by equals c. We already have a standard form of parallel, same slope.
Alright guys, the time is now 5:30. It is time for the after school bus to go. So if you're in an after school program, stop what you're doing, put it down, clean up, and have a great evening. Be safe. The weather's going to get bad tonight.
Yeah, y'all see I'm still here at 5:30 trying to make y'all a video. You should be appreciative. All right. I guess I could have zoomed out for this. Anywho. All right, so we still need a slope and a y-intercept, an M and a B, just like on the other ones. Now, remember, we do not easily see our slope when it's in standard form. So I need to move this to slope intercept. So let's change this to slope intercept. So remember, slope intercept has y by itself. That means this 2x needs to be taken to the other side. I need to move it from over here. So remember, anytime I do something or take something to the other side, it becomes the opposite. So cancel it over here. I'm going to subtract 2x. Do that to both sides. We bring down a negative 3y equals a negative 2x plus 12. Now to get y by itself, we're going to divide everything.
Last call for the late bus. Please stop what you're doing and make your way outside. It is last call for the late bus.
Divide everything by negative 3, and then we get y equals 2/3 x minus 4. Okay? Now, guys, we just did this just to find the slope. Okay? Because remember, this is not what it's asking for. So here's our slope. After we find our slope, we still have to find our b. So now I'm going to plug in my point here into my equation and find my b. So my y is 2, my m is 2/3, my x is negative 5, I need my b. I think I'm going to run out of space. 2 equals negative 10 over 3 plus b. Yep, I'm running out of room. I'm going to add 10/3 to both sides. Let's cancel. And my b will equal, I'm trying to remember what that was, 16 over 3. My b is 16 over 3. You have room? Put that down under there, please. I just ran out of room on the board. Okay, now we're going to write our equation in slope intercept since I have an m and a b. Okay, so remember my m was right here. That's where I found my m. So m and b, put it together, have y equals 2/3 x plus 16 over 3. But it didn't ask for slope intercept, it asked for standard form. So now I need to get rid of the fractions. Remember, to get rid of fractions, we multiply by the denominator. Draw a little green line here so you know not separate. All right, 3 times y is 3y. 3 times 2/3 is 2. So we have a 2x. And 3 times 16 over 3 is 16. So bring down to plus 16. Now I need my x to be on this side. So I'm going to bring it over to this side. Remember, when it comes over to this side, it's going to become a negative. So negative 2x plus 3y. And I'm left with this 16 over here. That's a no-no, because we don't want a negative on this coefficient here. So we're going to change this sign. And if I change this sign, everything's sign has to be changed. And there is your standard form. Okay, and we can still write a point slope. Easy peasy. Okay, y minus my 2 equals my slope times x minus, actually that would be a plus 5 now. So there's your point slope. Okay. All right, there is your video for parallel lines.